What's up, everyone? This is Joe with Collection Plate.
Yo, this is John, and we're co-founders of Collection Plate.
And you are here with Rolling Out Kicks and Fit.
What's going on, everybody? Back again here for Rolling Out Kicks and Fits. Your host, Malik Brown, of course. This is the beginning of Kicks and Fits. We've always done sneaker stories here Rolling Out, but we got a title now, Kicks and Fits. Definitely talking about the sneaker brands around the world, people that are influencing sneaker culture. And today I'm with the co-founders of the Collection Plate brand. I'm here with Joe and John. My guys, how are you doing today?
Good, man. Good.
Man, what's going on? We're doing well. We're doing well.
Great, man. Look, thank y'all so much for coming on, taking the time out to speak with me about this platform, this business that you all have. To just start it off, Collection Plate brand. First of all, let's just start. Where did the love for sneakers come from for you guys?
Woo.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and start, and I'll tell you what.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start, man. While we live here in Dallas, Texas, I grew up in rural Florida, and I grew up being a big sneakerhead, playing sports. I played basketball, football, baseball, and actually went to college and played basketball. And just like, I would say other families that are blue collar families, man, you look at certain sneakers and are like, you dream of having certain sneakers growing up. So of course it was the Jordans, the Converses, the Reeboks, especially me being, growing up in Florida. So, man, I grew my love for really wanting sneakers, but it wasn't just about the sneakers. It was being able to kind of advertise your own personality through sneakers and where you grew up from. And we know just how much music influences sneakers. So that became a big part. One of my brothers, I'm the youngest of 5 boys, was an artist at the time. And so he put me on to Outkast and all the different artists that were, I would say, in the late 80s, early 90s in Atlanta and also in Florida. And so a lot of my sneaker influences come from that.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, man, like I grew up, in a military family, so a lot of my time was overseas, and I remember at a young age just being drawn to hip hop. I'm a little older, so I remember watching, Crush Groove and some of those influential hip hop movies in the '80s, and I remember watching and seeing Run DMC come out with their Adidas shell toes with no laces. And that stood out to me, man. Like, and just how sneakers and the way you look, you put your foot together could just create an identity for yourself, right? So that's what kind of drew me into the sneaker world. And it was just, where we were at, it was always a challenge to try to one up the next dude. So it was like, whether you swap out the laces or you do something with the mismatch or whatever it was, like I was just always drawn to sneaker culture. Yeah, like Joe, I also played sports growing up, so that obviously had an influence. For me, I think what started my love for sneakers was my love of hip hop music.
And you guys, of course, 2 different stories, but at the end of the day, it was all about sneakers for you guys and how you all kind of found that love. Where did the Collection Plate brand come from? Where did that start and where did that build?
I think, so John and I have known each other, I would say, over the last 10 to 12 years in our, corporate world, I would say, in our corporate life. In the middle of COVID, him and I, we were just exchanging conversations around what we want to do, what we have passions for, how we can blend in sneakers along with educating people on financial literacy. Right, and being able to combine the two, especially for our community. And so, I was on the verge of taking a course, learning how to create my own sneaker from scratch, all the way down to the soles, the insole, all the way to the outsole, right? And so we said, you know what? We have this passion. We understand how businesses work, but we feel as if we can do a better job of creating a very, very unique and quality product, but not have it be so expensive, right? And so that kind of started our process of Collection Plate. And I can let John kind of talk about the name of Collection Plate and why it's so unique for us too.
Yeah, and so like Joseph said, man, like, I think we're coming from a unique place in that, we have both had successful corporate careers. We're a little bit older than what you see from a lot of these new brands and and entrepreneurs coming out, this younger generation. And so I think we can bring a unique spin on it. So the whole idea of Collection Plate is really not just about sneakers or apparel, but really to collect, create a group or a following of sneakerheads that have a passion, but that come from different walks of life, really, because we're just getting started, but we have ideas to not only do like business consulting, but financial literacy, bringing communities together. Obviously, giving back is something that we're really passionate about, to bring others up, to show them that, listen, it doesn't matter at what stage of life you are. If you have a passion, we have a blueprint, and we've in just this short period, we've learned a lot. We've made a ton of mistakes.
Yep.
But I think that the things that we've learned and are going to continue to learn can be valuable for that next person. So yeah, I think it all started in the pandemic. We're like, look, we're at home. What can we do? It's time. Like, now's the time, man. Let's just go ahead and chase this passion. And then with Joseph doing the class, and really learning about the quality of sneakers, we saw an opportunity. Because for me and Joseph, we talked about this, man. We have been frustrated with just the sneaker industry from all the major brands in the last few years. The whole reseller market and trying to get lucky on the sneakers app. And really, I feel like there hasn't been a lot of innovation from the major brands. You're seeing retros come out all the time, but like, what's new? So I think that we can provide something new, and I think there's a niche for brands like ours, independent brands.
Love that so much. I'm glad you all mentioned, of course. I always talk to people about how the sneaker industry and how sneaker culture is kind of how it looks now. And you talked about it, John. The reselling culture it's kind of ruined. I feel like it's kind of ruined the game now. It's crazy now. It's kind of hard to get sneakers. You got one person grabbing 100, 200 pair of the same sneakers and reselling them for $1,000, and it's like, oh my
Right.
God.
Yeah, it's wild. Wow.
Absolutely.
But for you guys went and you created your own sneaker. You all are making sure that it is easy to attain and it's easy to afford as well, which is what we need, especially in this society today. I want you all to talk about the Love and Hip Hop sneaker. I know, John, you talked a little bit about how hip hop has kind of influenced your sneaker culture. Your sneaker love. Tell us about this sneaker. I don't know if you all have it with you right now. I should have asked you guys to bring it with you, but let us know about the Love and Hip Hop sneaker.
Well, John and I believe in wearing sneakers, right? So I'm actually wearing the sneaker today. So we take off the sneaker and you'll see, and I'll try to get as close as I can, but most can see it if you go to our site. The biggest thing that you'll see here, which is like very unique, it's cracked leather. And the cracked leathers is really cool because it gives back to the graffiti artists who started out in the sneaker culture as well as with hip hop, right? So when we had our set that was at the Curls on the Runway, we actually had a live artist that was painting in our spot. So we thought that was really great. The red signifies the blood, sweat, and tears that went into hip hop, and that continues to do that in the ability for hip hop to be able to continue to grow for years to come. And then I love the bottom of our sneaker right here where it says identity over conformity. And that's what we're really trying to do. Allow people to be able to express themselves through sneakers, but then also learning more about how the market works. And then again, like John and I said, we have more ideas of what we want to do, and this is just the beginning of it. So our tagline is identity over conformity. We want everyone to be their unique self if they're going to be part of our community.
Yeah, and to Joseph's point, man, we just felt like because hip hop played such a huge influence on the creation of the brand, there was no better time to celebrate the 50th anniversary than with our own sneaker. So, in every sneaker we produce, the one thing that we have learned through this process is there are a lot of sneakers out there, even from the major brands, that are selling you quality shoes with not so quality material. So you see a lot of PU leather or synthetic leathers, even on Jordans, general release Jordans. And so we use high quality products, and we're trying to educate our consumer about just the quality of the leathers that we use, the quality of all the different nylons and parts of the sneaker, quality of the insole. And for this particular sneaker, every element that we chose had something to do with hip hop, had a meaning for us. So Joseph touched on the red and what that means. He touched on the cracked leather and how that reminds us of like those building blocks where there were canvases for graffiti artists. But like for me, we got the patent leather here. This reminds me of the vinyl records that DJs, used to spin on. So like every part of this sneaker was crafted with an ode to hip hop.
I love that so much. It's every part of the shoe has a meaning.
Absolutely.
I think that really means a lot. It's just not like you said, it's identity over conformity, and I want to definitely talk about that as well. All the shoe brands have their slogan. Nike has "Just Do It." Of course, Air Jordan, Jordan, I guess Air Jordan. Like everybody has their own slogan. For you guys, it's identity over conformity. Where did that come from for you guys? How did that start, and how is authenticity, I guess, important when it comes to fashion and being able to step out and do your thing?
Yeah, again, I mean, like John said, we were starting this process of creating this sneaker brand during the middle of COVID, right? So if you just take a look back on 2020, what was happening during the middle of COVID? We had the George Floyd incident, a lot of like riots that were happening. The biggest thing for us is how do we build a space, especially for the younger generation, to be able to say, okay, I have a place in this community, and there's people that look like me, that talk like me, that sound like me, and I feel comfortable here, right? I feel comfortable in the space. That's why we say identity over conformity. We want you to have your own identity, be your own true self, and that builds out the authenticity of our sneakers as well as the community.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And for me also, just looking at it from being, fly fashion sense, because I was in a military family, I moved around a lot. So one of the things that I noticed as I was growing up was how, every different region of the world, or different region of the country had their own like style, right? So like when I lived out on the West Coast, you saw a lot of like Nike Cortez with the Dickies, or you saw Chucks, and then in the Northeast where I consider home, like it was Tim's and New Balance, and so everybody had their own little flavor and created their identity through sneakers and through apparel, right? And so like that played an element in it as well. So like I said earlier, man, Collection Plate is ultimately going to be about more than just sneakers and apparel. We really want to bring back that sense of community. I don't know if you remember, but when I was a kid and there was a big sneaker release, you would camp out or you would wait, right? And there was no resellers or bots, messing up the game. But through that process of waiting, man, you met other sneakerheads, right? And it was more of a community, right? And some of my closest friends I met waiting in line for the latest Jordans. I feel like that's gone today, right? So we want to kind of bring that back. And we're just getting started, so I'm really excited about the future for Collection Plate.
You all have an idea of what a new shoe for you all could look like. I know, of course, you all are doing 50 years of hip hop now. Have you all discussed what that next shoe could possibly look like? What would it be centered around?
Yeah, we're excited because we didn't bring all the samples in, so you can get a chance to at least see where we're starting at. But man, we got some heat coming. We got some real heat coming. If you think about it too, when John and we say how long we've been collecting sneakers, I've been collecting sneakers myself for close to 30 years, right? So we have 30 years of knowledge, 30 years or more of knowledge from previous sneakers. Well, if it's Asics, Adidas, Reebok, so we know what good looks like. But now we're gonna bring some of those elements back from different pieces in what we think would look great moving forward. The biggest thing too that I want to mention is having comfort in the sneaker, right? So I'm a big guy, I'm 6'5". Again, I told you I play sports. I want to be able to wear a sneaker all day, right? So there's elements within all of our sneakers that's going to be very comfortable to wear. So that's one of the biggest takes that we've gotten from people as of late, is that the sneakers are really comfortable.
Yeah, and this model that we shared with you today, this is just our first model. It's called the Manta model. So this is our third colorway in this model that we launched with. And just to back up for a second, it has a similar kind of silhouette to the Jordan 1, and that's intentional. because the Jordan 1 was the first sneaker that really, like, that I really wanted so bad that I actually went out and worked and earned my own money to purchase. And so we wanted to pay tribute to that sneaker, but we have models coming out that are completely original that I can't wait to share with the world. I know Joseph's excited, but we have, like he said, we have some heat. And, you know, what's also going to be very cool is that we want our audience, we want our collection of sneakerheads that's in our family to help produce some sneakers. So we have some ideas on how to do contests for different colorways or different design contests, and actually, you know, bring some of those user designs to life as well.
I love that so much, y'all. I love everything you all are doing. This is super dope, super dope. Before we go, I want to ask you guys tips for in fact, one question. Best sneaker in you guys closet, besides the hip hop sneakers. Besides your own sneakers, top sneakers in you guys closet right now.
Ooh, I know mine.
Oh,
So I still have, believe it or not, bro, like I still have the original OG Jordan 4 Siemens, the original. The sole's starting to crumble a little bit, so I might need to get a resole. But if you just think about how, you know, how old those are, you know, so I have, I have a bunch of sneakers, and I love New Balance being like from that DC area, but for me, I think just still having those, and they're, aside from the sole, in pretty good condition. So for me, that's probably it.
yeah, I would say, I have two. So I have the original Jordan 11s that's in the patent leather. And I also have the ones, and I'm trying to make sure I say it right. They're Air Max Safaris, but it's the original Safaris that came out. So those, I mean, they're grails at this point, and I'm actually afraid to put it on. Just like John said, I'm afraid if I do put it on, it's going to crush immediately.
If you guys could give some advice to, I guess, today's society of sneakerheads, sneaker culture, what would you tell them?
Man, me personally, don't be afraid to try out new brands. There's been times where there's multiple small brands that are out that I've bought from, many of them, just because I want to support those that are trying to go out and be unique and push inside the marketplace, right? So that's number one. Don't be afraid to try out new brands. Number two, man, be creative. Especially with me going through the process of creating a sneaker myself from the ground up. Nowadays, I'm not afraid to cut pieces off of a sneaker, sew them back on, or even paint different sneakers. So be creative. That's part of the whole culture as well.
Yeah, and for me, it's about just be uniquely you, right? I have, my youngest daughter is in middle school, and I feel like the culture, especially this younger generation, they're just a bunch of clones, right? She wants what everyone else has. So she has to have the blazers or the dunks or like, and I feel like I see that a lot. Like when I drop her off at school, pick her up, I feel like all the little girls there are clones. They're wearing their Lululemon, they got their dunks, they got their blazers. And I'm like, yo, just be uniquely you. You can express yourself by how you put your fit together, and it can start with sneakers. So yeah, I would just say be uniquely you, man, be individual.
Well, look, I want to thank both of you guys so much for coming on, speak with us here, rolling out for Kicks and Fits. Before we go, let the people know where they can find you guys. You got a website, like you said. If you guys got anything coming up new, this is your time to let the people know.
Yeah, I mean, so go check us out on our website. It's collectionplatebrand.com. So again, collectionplatebrand.com. You can find us on all the socials on Collection Plate Brand. Be on the lookout. We got a lot of cool stuff coming out. I know we have a few athletes that are representing the lifestyle brand that we have right now too. So, you know, we're big supporters in female athletes as well. So you'll get a chance to see that if you go on our site, but collectionplatebrand.com, and we're updating everything as much as possible. We're based here in Dallas, Texas. With that being said, John's traveled all over just as much as I have, and we're looking to connect with our people that's part of the community, as part of Collection Plate. So be on the lookout for pop-ups and sign into our newsletter so you can be updated when we have new sneakers that are coming out. John and I like to do really cool stuff where maybe we'll only launch 50 pairs of the sneaker, but if you're signed up in our newsletter, you get first access to those first, right? So we want to do some cool things like that. So yeah, just check us out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to Joseph's point, collectionplatebrand.com and on all the socials at Collection Plate Brand. But yeah, definitely I would recommend signing up for the newsletter because we have a lot of cool stuff coming. Not only new sneakers, we're hoping to drop our next model early next year, but then cool events, right? I mean, we have some really great ideas and we really, again, want to build that sense of sneakerhead community. So the best way to tap in is to kind of join the newsletter to stay informed.
Y'all heard it here first, everybody. Joseph, John, thank you so much, guys. Make sure you all go check out the collection.
Thank you, man.
We appreciate you. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you. Make sure you guys go check it out. Thank y'all again, and we appreciate you guys.
Yo, thank you, man. We appreciate it.